Hello everyone and a very warm welcome back. Today we are going to deal with reproduction in angiosperms, and before we really get started, uh, let's have some differences in mind about gymnosperms and angiosperms. What are the main differences between angiosperms and gymnosperms? In gymnosperms, you do not have flower formation, you don't have flowers, and as a consequence of that, you do not have fruits. Okay, while as in case of angiosperms, you have the flowers, and because of these flowers you have fruits, because ultimately the ovary which is present in the flower that gets converted into a fruit, and it lodges inside itself the ovules, okay, or seeds. So the male sex organ and the female sex organ in angiosperms, they are present on flowers. First of all, we will discuss the male sex organ. The male sex organ in a flower is known as androecium, and this androecium is constituted of stems. Okay, and when you have a number of stems, collectively this whole group of stems, it forms the androecium, and each stem is constituted of filament and anther. याद रखना, you have filament and an anther. Okay, and this anther is diathecous, it is two-lobed. Okay, and each lobe has two microsporangia. That means you are having 4 microsporangia in all. So you can say that in angiosperms the anthers are tetrasporangiate, and inside each microsporangia there are microspore mother cells, and each microspore mother cell, it divides and forms 4 microspores. Okay, and these microspores are pollen grains, whatever you like to say. These microspores are pollen grains. They are the initial cells of the gametophyte. याद रखना बेटा, they are the initial cells of the gametophyte and they are haploid. Okay, and inside these pollen grains, development of male gametes takes place, which we will study in the next coming slides. Then in the same flower or in a different flower, okay, depending upon the species, the flower also contains the female sex organ, and this female sex organ is known as gynoecium, and the gynoecium is constituted of pistils or carpels. Okay, in some species you have only a single pistil, while as in other species you have a number of pistils, and these pistils can be either fused or they can be separate from each other. Okay, simply stated, the gynoecium is constituted of pistils, and each pistil is having 3 parts. You are having the basal swollen part, which is known as ovary, and inside this ovary you are having a number of ovules. Okay, and you are having the middle part, which is known as style, and you are having the upper part, and this upper part is known as stigma, and it receives the pollen grains during pollination. Okay, and here you are having these ovules. Okay, I will take one ovule here. This is the ovule, and this ovule is constituted of nucleus diploid cells, and one of the cells of the nucleus, it starts behaving as megaspore mother cell, and it results in the formation of 4 megaspores. Okay, 4 megaspores and 4, and only one megaspore it functions and the rest 3 degenerate, and this megaspore, functional megaspore, it results in the formation of the highly reduced female gametophyte. Okay, that means the female gametophyte is lodged inside the ovule. Okay, and one more important thing that you have to remember, that in angiosperms the female gametophyte is in the highest reduced state. Let's see the structure of female gametophyte. Here you can see you are having the female gametophyte, and this female gametophyte has been formed as a result of divisions in the megaspore. Megaspore kaise bana? Because of meiosis. That means the megaspore is haploid, so all the cells of the female gametophyte too are haploid. Okay, and in angiosperms the female gametophyte or embryo sac is constituted of a 7-celled and 8-nucleate structure. You are having this egg apparatus, and egg apparatus having 2 synergids and 1 egg. You are having the secondary polar nuclei. Okay, and you are having 3 antipodal cells. At this end you are having 3 cells, at this end you are having 3 cells, and at right in the middle you are having 2 cells. Okay, you are having a single cell, and this cell is having 2 nuclei. That is why we say 7-celled and 8-nucleate structure, because right in the middle you have this cell, and this cell is having 2 nuclei. Okay, so in all you have 7 cells and 8 nuclei, and eventually these 2 nuclei in the middle, they fuse and form a diploid secondary nucleus. याद रखना बेटा, they eventually fuse and form a diploid secondary nucleus. Okay, Now you have the pollen grains, okay, and these pollen grains they move, they get transferred from the anthers to the stigma of another flower with the help of various agencies like wind, you have water, you have insects, you have other animals, birds, or etc. And all these agencies they help in the transfer of pollen grains from one flower to another, and this process of pollen grain transfer from the anthers to the stigma of another flower, this is known as pollination. Here you can see right in the middle of this slide, this image, anthers from the anthers of this flower, the pollen grains are getting transferred with the help of this vector, or you can say the agency, and they help in the landing of these pollen grains on the stigma, okay. And once the pollen grains have landed on the stigma, ultimately they germinate and result in the formation of the pollen tube, okay. याद रखना pollen grain में, ये pollen grain होता है आपके पास, उसका जो nucleus होता है, it divides and forms two cells. First of all, the generative cell and the tube cell, okay, this large tube cell and this small generative cell, okay. And ultimately this generative cell, it divides and forms two male gametes, okay, it forms two male gametes. ठीक है बेटा, you have pollen grain, and this pollen grain its nucleus divides and forms the generative cell and the tube cell, and this generative cell it divides and forms two male gametes. याद रखना बेटा. So you can say that in angiosperms the male gametophyte is the highly reduced male gametophyte, because हमने देखा है कि जो जिम्नास्पर्म है उनमें प्रोथेलियल सेल्स भी बनती हैं. ठीक है बेटा, ओके. So when pollen grain lands on the surface of stigma, it starts germinating, and after germination it forms pollen tube, and that pollen tube moves through the tissues of style and stigma, and ultimately it reaches the ovary where you have ovules, and inside the ovary it starts penetrating the ovule, and once it reaches the ovule it enters the embryo sac, because ovule के अंदर एक embryo sac होता है, okay. And once it enters gets an entry into the embryo sac, it releases its male gametes, okay. It releases, here you can see it releases its male gametes once it gets an entry into the embryo sac. One of the male gametes, it fuses with the excuse me it fuses with the egg here, and this results in the formation of zygote, okay, 2n diploid zygote, because both the male gametes and the female gametes are the egg, you can say they are both haploid, and once they fuse they result in the formation of zygote, which is diploid. And the other male gamete which is present in the pollen tube, it fuses with the secondary polar nuclei, okay. It fuses with the secondary polar nuclei, or you can say diploid secondary nucleus, okay, and it results in the formation of a triploid nucleus, okay, which is known as P, E, and N, primary endosperm nucleus, okay. So this occurrence of two types of fertilization, one sperm fuses with the egg results in the formation of zygote, and another sperm male gamete, it fuses with the secondary nucleus and results in the formation of triploid nucleus, which is known as primary endosperm nucleus. This occurrence of two types of fertilization is known as double fertilization, and double fertilization is unique only in angiosperms. It is not present anywhere in the plant kingdom except angiosperms, okay. The zygote ultimately results in the formation of embryo, okay, and this embryo is diploid, and the primary endosperm nucleus, it results in the formation of the endosperm, or food for the developing embryo. And once these events take place, ultimately the ovule gets converted into a seed, okay, and in the next generation when you will sow the seed on the soil, in the soil, you will get the sporophyte back. This is all about angiosperms, and I hope you all understand this, and in the next class we will start we will go with the morphology of angiosperms. Till then, God bless you and thank you all.